Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a reading wrap up on all the books I read in the month of September. I'm going to give you my mini review in the order that I read them, and I hope to do this pretty fast. I read 14 books in the month of September and I feel really good about that. I had some amazing reads and I can't wait to share them with you. As I mentioned in the intro, I hope to get through this video pretty quickly, so let's just dive right in. The first book I finished in September is The One by John Mars. You would have seen this and a few other books here in my TBR takedown video. I can link that up in the cards. This is a thriller in which you are matched with your soulmate based on your DNA, and I loved this. I gave this 5 stars. The really short chapters kept me engaged the entire time. I then read Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is the first book in the Kindred's Curse saga, a fantasy romance series. I did give this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. I feel like the part that I wasn't loving about this book is our female main character, DM, makes some extremely stupid decisions that just have me shaking my head, and based on things people have said about the next books in the series, I don't have the highest of hopes that that will be resolved, but it was still certainly fun. Spy Family Volume 6, I gave this 3 stars. I do really enjoy this manga series, but the latest issues that I have read just haven't hit as much as the first few did, but I really loved the friendship representation in here between Anya and Becky. They are so cute at school, but other than that, I found this character, I don't want to spoil anything, extremely annoying. The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a literary fiction, and I don't know if I'm just too dumb for literary fiction, and if so, that's fine. We have 2 very separate storylines going on here, and I was confused the entire time. At the very end, the stories do merge together in a really beautiful and poetic way, but we're following the collapse of this huge Ponzi scheme, and we're also following like a mystery surrounding a woman that disappears off a ship, kind of. And you're probably thinking that doesn't match up, and you're completely right. So this is like 2 stars for my enjoyment, 4 stars for what I can see is an objectively well-crafted story based on how the storylines came together at the end, but being confused the entire time was not enjoyable. Out of the Gate by Elsie Silver is the novella in the Gold Rush Ranch series following Ada and Dermot. It was just over 100 pages. I felt like Ada had a lot of growing up to do. This is like the beginning of the Gold Rush Ranch with this couple is how that started. I just didn't care about their romance that much. I would absolutely love for a similar format novella to come out, but in the Chestnut Springs series, because I want this but with Harvey. I think that would be absolutely amazing, and I just kind of felt like that was in the back of my mind the whole time I was reading this, so I gave it 3 stars. The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind was a huge disappointment for me. This is a very hyped Red Tower book. Their fantasy romances get very hyped, and it was very intriguing right at the beginning. We have this like dystopian, almost Gotham, New York City setting in which humans and monsters are living happily with this treaty in play. We have a thief who was assigned to steal something. Turns out that she was actually stealing from a monster, but she didn't know that, and she broke the monster treaty. and it goes from there. I gave this book 2 stars. This book really felt like the author was given a checklist of scenes, tropes, character archetypes, plot twists, whatever you want to, literary devices you want to call them. And she just had to check them off one by one of what's popular, what people are liking. There were scenes in this book that I remember thinking, this does not fit with the rest of the story, but I remember a similar scene in whatever book that hit really well and everyone loved it, including me. And at that point I was like, it lost me. It was doing things that are popular and that hit well for others, but not done well, if that makes any sense. Brutal Intentions by Lilith Vincent took me completely by surprise. This is a mafia dark romance, very taboo. It's involving a stepfather and a stepdaughter. I gave this 4.5 stars. I did knock it down a little bit because I was obsessed with this book when I read it, because for it being mafia and for our male main character Laz being the big macho badass mafia guy, I wanted him to stand up to the others in the mafia family a little bit more, or a little bit better, if that makes sense. Like some of the conflict that was happening because of like the mafia bosses or heads of family or whatever they call them, I feel like he didn't assert his dominance as much as he could have in those scenarios. But other than that, I did love this book. Ward D by Frida McFadden. We are following a medical student named Amy, and she is on rotation in a locked psych ward for the night. They just kind of float around the hospital, getting a feel for the different specialties, and this night she is in the psychiatric ward, and this is like very intense cases. They have to lock it down so that no one can get out and into the rest of the hospital. I listened to this on audiobook. It was quick, it was engaging, it happens over one night, but like the twists didn't really surprise me, but it was still a fun time to listen to, so I gave it 3 stars. Another book that took me by surprise, Moon Called by Patricia Briggs. I have such a hard time saying this author's name. This is the first book in the Mercy Thompson series. This is a very old, early 2000s paranormal romance series. We have many different paranormal creatures, but we're mostly following shifters. So Mercy Thompson shifts into a coyote. She is Native American, and we also have werewolf shifters. And I went into this with low expectations, but I actually ended up loving this. I gave it 4 stars. This was action-packed, so much pack politics in here. I was halfway through this book and felt like so much had already occurred in the plot, in the story. Like it was just going so fast. I had no idea how we were going to get like a whole another half of the book. I really enjoyed this, and I'm excited to continue on with this series. I finally finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson on audiobook. This took me a long time because I never prioritized my library holds. So I would listen to a bit, it would get returned, I would go back on the wait list, on and on until I finally finished it, and I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. The first half of this book really didn't grip my attention, and that's why I never prioritized my hold beyond just listening to a few more chapters. After the halfway point, I was completely engaged. I could not read it fast enough. I was invested in the mystery, and I didn't figure it out for myself. I know a lot of other people did, but I didn't, and I'm excited to continue on with this series as well. I've noticed that I really enjoy YA mystery and thriller books, so maybe that is something I should explore more. I read Avatar: The Last Airbender: The Search Part 2. This is a 3-part story. This follows after the events of the Avatar: The Last Airbender anime series and The Legends of Korra. So I'm not going to go into any spoilers. I did give this 4 stars. We are searching for Zuko's mother. I'll leave it at that for the plot. But the artwork in here is so well done. The expressions on the faces is so amazing to me. I really love the art, and these are just fun, quick reads. A photo finish by Elsie Silver. This was 5 stars. This is probably my top 3 Elsie Silver books. I absolutely loved this. We are following Violet and Cole. Violet is the little sister from the Chestnut Springs series, and this is her love story, and I just love a grumpy, broody man who is secretly a softie. I absolutely loved this. Only 2 more books to go. The Coworker by Frida McFadden I also listened to on audiobook. I have been liking reading some of her books via audio. I don't know if I'm going to keep going though. I gave this one 2 stars. This was just very underwhelming. We're following 2 women who work at this office. It's filled with secrets, and there's one terrible crime that has been committed, and we are, trying to solve the crime, and we don't know who to believe. I didn't really like this one, but we turned it around. The last book I read in September was also my 100th read of 2024. I give this infinity stars. You guys were right. You guys have been begging me to read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I loved this book with every fiber of my being. I buddy read this with It's Just Steph, and we had so much fun chatting about it every single day. This book is so romantic. It was not what I was expecting. I love a manipulative god or gods in a world, like when they have a presence within the world. I loved the fantasy elements in here. The letters were just so good. I feel like this book has imprinted itself on my DNA, and if for some reason you have not read this, you definitely should. But those were all 14 books that I read in the month of September. We had some hits, we had some misses, but that's okay. I had some really surprising reads, which was so fun for me. You'll have to let me know if you remember, because I know we're now halfway through the month of October, what your favorite book was in the month of September. I would love to know. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!